Hey guys, I'm Nisa Homey. Today I'm sharing eggless and alcohol-free fruit cake, also known as Kerala plum cake, made without Maida or refined sugar. A super healthy Christmas fruit cake recipe. So let's get started with the recipe. To make eggless and alcohol-free fruit cake, also known as Kerala plum cake, into a bowl I'm adding in 3/4 cup freshly squeezed orange juice. Into this I'm adding in a handful or 3 tablespoons chopped golden raisins, a handful or 3 tablespoons chopped black raisins, 5 dates chopped, 3 tablespoons chopped cashew nuts. You can add in any dry fruits you have at hand, like maybe walnuts, pistachios, almonds, any dry fruits you have at hand. I'm going to give this all a mix. Soak this overnight or for at least a minimum of 2 hours. So I'm going to cover and soak it overnight. And the next day morning, this is how it looks. You can see that the dry fruits has almost soaked the orange juice. So I'm just giving it a mix. And let's get the other ingredients ready. Into a saucepan, I'm adding in 3/4 cup jaggery powder. This is organic jaggery, which does not have any sand or dust particle. So I'm adding it directly into the saucepan. Into this, add in 1/4 cup water. Give it a stir and on low flame, melt the jaggery. And once the jaggery is melted, turn off the flame. Into my small stone grinder, I'm adding in 3 cardamoms and I'm just crushing them. Once crushed, peel off the skin and add the seeds into the stone grinder. Add in 1/4 inch of cinnamon. I have broken it into smaller pieces. A small piece of nutmeg, 4 cloves. And I'm crushing and grinding all this to a fine powder. Once ground, keep it aside. Into a large bowl, add in the cooled and melted jaggery. Into this, add in 1/4 cup wood-pressed coconut oil. Wood-pressed coconut oil has a very neutral flavor and taste. Hence, it's ideal for baking. With a whisk, I'm just mixing this really well. Into this, I'm adding in 1 cup of kapli wheat flour, also known as emmer wheat. Kapli wheat or emmer wheat is an ancient variety of wheat grain which has a very weak gluten molecule and it has more fiber. Hence, I prefer to use them more in my recipes. However, if you don't have kapli wheat at hand, you can use ordinary whole wheat flour instead. Add in 1/3 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon pink Himalayan salt. Add in the ground spices and with a spatula just slightly mix this really well. Mix and fold the flour into the wet ingredients. Add in the soaked dry fruits along with the orange juice. Give it a nice mix. Once nicely mixed, the batter should be thick, creamy and of pourable consistency. So this is the consistency of the batter. The batter should be creamy and thick. I have already lined an 8-inch square cake tin with parchment paper. Transfer the cake batter into the pan. Level the top with a spatula. Placing some cashew nuts in the center. And lightly press down the cashew nuts. Bake in the preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for about 55 to 60 minutes. To bake the cake without an oven, use a kadai or a deep cast iron pan. Place a lid in the center and then place the cake pan on top and cover it with the lid and bake for 55 to 60 minutes on low flame. And after 55 minutes, it's nicely baked. So I'm just inserting a toothpick in the center and it comes out clean. I'm going to allow the cake to cool down completely and then I'll slice and show you how it looks. And once it has cooled down, run a knife through the sides and gently pull out the cake using the sides of the parchment paper. Remove the parchment paper, and my eggless plum cake or Kerala fruit cake is ready to serve. I'll just slice and show you how it looks. See how beautifully the cake has come out. It is soft and spongy. The cake is perfectly cooked, so healthy and tasty. Today I'm sharing a healthy last minute Christmas fruit cake recipe, also known as boiled fruit cake. No maida, no refined sugar and no oven. A super healthy fruit cake recipe perfect for Christmas. So let's quickly dive into the recipe. To make a last minute Christmas cake, also known as boil and bake Christmas cake, I have a whole nutmeg. I've added into my stone grinder. I'm crushing and grinding the nutmeg. Into that I'm adding in half teaspoon cloves, and I'm crushing and grinding the nutmeg and cloves to a fine powder. Once ground, keep this aside. Next I'm chopping 1/4 cup almonds. With a knife I'm roughly chopping the almonds. Once chopped, keep it aside. Next I'm roughly chopping half cup black raisins. And once chopped, keep it aside. Next I'm roughly chopping half cup golden raisins. I'm using only 3 dry fruits in this Christmas fruit cake. However, you can use any dry fruits of your choice like cashew nuts, dates, walnuts, prunes, any dry fruits you have at hand. Add the dry fruits into a saucepan. Add in 1 cup crushed jaggery powder. I'm using organic jaggery powder. Add in 1 cup water. Turn on the flame and bring this to a boil. Give it a stir. Once it boils, reduce the flame to the lowest and let it simmer on low flame for about 5 minutes. The jaggery will now start to melt. After 5 minutes, turn off the flame and allow this to cool down. While the jaggery mix is cooling down, let's get the other ingredients ready. Into a bowl, I am adding in 2 eggs. Into this, I am adding in half cup wood pressed coconut oil. Now, instead of wood pressed coconut oil, you can use grass fed cow's butter, but if you are using butter, you may need to add it into the jaggery mix once you have turned off the flame. So into the bowl, I am adding in half cup wood pressed coconut oil. Wood pressed coconut oil has a very neutral flavor and taste, hence it is ideal for baking. With a whisk, I am mixing this. Once it is mixed, it will become creamy. Add the egg mix into the cooled jaggery mix and lightly mix this. Add in 1.5 cups kapli wheat flour. Kapli wheat, also known as emmer wheat, is an ancient variety of wheat grain which has a very weak gluten molecule, and it is also high in fiber. Hence, I prefer to use them more in my recipes. However, if you don't have kapli wheat at hand, you can use ordinary whole wheat flour instead. Into this, I am adding in the ground spices, half teaspoon pink Himalayan salt or as needed, 1 teaspoon dry ginger powder, which is also known as chukku podi in Malayalam, 1 teaspoon organic cinnamon powder, 1 teaspoon baking powder. And with a spatula, lightly mix the flours first and then incorporate it into the wet ingredients. Once mixed, the batter will be thick and creamy. I have already prepared a cake tin and I have greased it and lined it with parchment paper. This is actually my steel roti dabha. You can use round or square cake tin as per your preference. Transfer the batter into the prepared cake tin. Once transferred, level the top with the spatula. Tap it a couple of times on the countertop to release air bubbles if there are any. I'm going to show you how to bake this without an oven, but if you're making it in an oven, bake it in the preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for about 55 to 60 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. To bake on the stovetop, I'm using a heavy bottomed deep cast iron dish like this. You can use a kadai instead, but make sure it is heavy bottomed. So once the pan is heated, I'm placing a lid in the center of the pan. Note that the lid is slightly raised in the center. So I'm placing it in the middle. Place the cake pan on top of the lid. The lid will actually prevent direct heat from hitting onto the cake tin so that the bottom layer will not get burned. Cover it with a tight lid. Put the flame on low and let it bake on low flame for about 55 to 60 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. After 60 minutes, open the lid and you can see that the cake has risen well. So I'm going to insert a toothpick in the center and the toothpick comes out clean. So the cake is nicely done. So I'm going to turn off the flame and remove the cake from the pan and allow it to cool down completely. Fruit cakes should be ideally rested for a day or at least 5 to 6 hours. So I'm going to allow it to cool down and then I'll remove it from the cake tin and allow it to cool completely and then I'll slice and show you. And once it has cooled down, run a knife through the sides. And carefully remove it from the pan. Let me just slice and show you how the cake looks. The cake is soft and moist. So guys, do try this Christmas fruit cake recipe and let me know how it turned out. Thank you for watching and until next time, take care. Bye-bye.